Actors, most of you are sabotaging your own auditions by how you read the character breakdowns. In this video, I'll talk about self-submitting, but we'll first start with auditions that come through your reps, your agent or manager. I'll give you insight as to why certain information is in the breakdown and what to actually glean from a character breakdown. Hey everyone, I'm Matthew Cornwell with Get Taped, which I co-own with my amazingly talented, beautiful wife and best friend Brooke. For longtime fans of the channel, we're back in the basement today. Okay, so like I mentioned in the intro, we're going to start with auditions that come from your agent or your manager. We'll save the self-submission conversation for the end. Let's start by looking at an actual breakdown from Actors Access. I did a quick search on Actors Access and found this breakdown, which is from a non-union feature film. And side note, as a union actor, I can't audition for this. Not unless they go union. Many actors think that because they are union but live in a right-to-work state like Georgia, that they can audition for roles like this. No, doesn't work that way. Sorry. So for this breakdown, let's start with that top line. Lead, female, 40s, black. This is where the self-sabotage starts for so many of you. Because let's say that you are a black female, but you're 32 years old, or 26, or maybe you're 55, and so you're looking at this breakdown saying, 40s? Does my agent not get who I am? Why are they submitting me for this? I mean, of course I'm going to audition for it because I haven't had an audition for weeks, but really? See, you're already pushing this potential opportunity further away based on the posted age or age range. I get it. Heck, I used to do that years ago, but it's highly flawed thinking. Because spoiler alert, for you to have received this audition, the following scenario would have had to have happened most of the time, because you can't really say always or never in this industry. One, your agent receives the breakdown from casting. There might be several roles. They select all the actors they want to submit for each of those roles. That goes back to casting. Casting then sifts through those hundreds, if not thousands of submissions and carefully checks the actors they want to request. That then goes back to the agent and eventually lands in your inbox as a C-mail, if it's going through Actors Access. So by the time it reaches your inbox, both your rep and casting think you can book this role. They both approved you. Now, there's a separate conversation about headshots and materials that we won't have in this video. In a nutshell, if your headshot gives off a different age range or character type, that is a huge problem. But for our purposes, let's pretend that casting knows who you are based on previous auditions, or maybe they've even booked you before, and that you're not new with this agency or this manager. So this audition in question, this hypothetical audition for McKenna, is based on their knowledge of your work and who you are. So let's review. Both your reps and casting think you can book this role. In the meantime, you're having an emotional reaction to information that is weeks, months, maybe even years old, based on the writer's initial envisioning of the project. Stop. Stop sabotaging your chances by having an emotional reaction to age. The other thing to consider is that this role might have been re-released, or the specs might have changed after the breakdown was posted and it hasn't been updated. So again, bottom line, don't let the age dictate this emotional response. But let's move on to ethnicity. Because when it comes to ethnicity in the breakdown, same thing happens. Hey, this is a quick intermission, as you can tell from the different wall color, to check out the Brooke and Matt show, boom, on YouTube. Just not this channel, it's a different channel on YouTube. Brooke and I are doing 20 minutes of clean, clever sketch comedy on the first of every month through the end of 2025. That means that as of the publishing of this video, we have 4 full episodes already released on the channel, with a 5th one coming on Halloween, a day earlier than normal because we have some spooky sketches. All right, back to the video. Let's say the breakdown says any ethnicity. Well, Caucasian actors can get real cynical here by thinking that that is code for anything but white. In a different scenario, let's say that the breakdown says Caucasian or white, and yet you're an actor of Asian descent. You might think that your agent or your manager doesn't even understand your own ethnicity. And once again, you're angry because there's some sort of disconnect and you're being wrongly submitted. Grr. Well, just like with the age range, your reps and casting have approved you for this role. They think you can book it. So it shouldn't matter what the posted ethnicity is and if it's different from what you play. Furthermore, a healthy mindset would be to think that even if producers or those higher ups are sort of committed to a specific ethnicity, how cool is it that both your agent and casting think that you can change their mind? That's a huge vote of confidence if you choose to see it that way. But let's move on. The next trap is like the first two. When there is a physical description, ignore it. See, some writers like to put height, weight, hair color, etc. into their character descriptions. For example, I found another breakdown on Actors Access that had the following. Must be 4'8" to 5'3", slender to medium build, medium length hair, charming and smart. Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. All right. And again, if this came from your agent or manager, this is not a self-submission, and you're not in that height range, and you're not that body type, and you're not that hair color, who cares? You have been approved by casting to audition for this. There must be new information that you're just not privy to. So ignore it. Stop worrying. See, the problem with all of this information thus far is it's really designed for your agent so that they can look at their entire roster of potentially hundreds of actors and decide which few are appropriate for this role. Once it's in your inbox, I mean, you can read it for reference and use it to help wrap your mind around what the writer was intending, but that should be a neutral, emotionless experience. If any of this info affects you emotionally, well, you've fallen into the trap. So stop. Okay, the final details that can be a trap in breakdowns, final thing that I'm going to cover, there's of course a lot more nuance to breakdowns, is when you're looking at the character traits. You know, that list of adjectives. So in that last example, the character was charming and smart and knows what she wants. Honestly, not a lot to go on, but that should actually be freeing to you as the actor. See, this is where your script analysis can help you unlock your unique perspective on the character. In other words, don't feel bound by the adjectives in a breakdown. Let's go back to that first example of McKenna because it's a lot more specific. She's fiercely intelligent, emotionally guarded. Her strength often hides her deep vulnerability. There's just a lot in this breakdown, which might excite you because now you get to know more what they want, right? But the trap is that you'll use all of this information to build a prototype of the character in your head. You'll build all these details into that prototype or that archetype or that stereotype. And the problem is that image you have created based on their information, it might not resemble you. So now as you go to actually record your audition, you're just imitating a version of the image in your head that isn't you, and it becomes very weird and inauthentic. And get this, upwards of 80% or more of the other actors who are auditioning for the same role are going to have the exact same image in their head, trying to do the exact same imitation of that image. I've listened to countless casting directors over the years at Q&As or on their own Instagram reels talk about this very problem. Let's say that they have 25 actors auditioning for the role. 20 of the tapes that come in, the auditions will look identical. Like they all got together and agreed upon the same exact choices of how to deliver each line, what emotion feels right here, and what emotion feels right there. And so they all just become noise. They all just look like replicas of the same thing. And these other five who found their own authenticity in the performance, they stand out. So that's a huge problem if 20 out of 25 actors are somehow getting it wrong. They're trying to approximate some sort of stereotype in their head of what they think casting wants. So what's the solution? Well, you need to start loosening your grip on those adjectives in the breakdown. Those are just a starting point. Remember, this art form is a collaboration. If all you're trying to do is recreate the breakdown in your performance, well, that's not collaboration. That actually smells of desperation. Desperation to show them that you understand, show them what you're capable of, show them that you're really good for this role because you can do what you're told. The actor who books takes note of the breakdown, and combined with good script analysis, they build a signature performance. How? By tapping into a piece of their own humanity that will bring the character to life and serve the story. This is why script analysis is an irreplaceable skill, and why the Sam Christensen workshop is essential, in my humble opinion. Script analysis will help you build context for the character in this world in which they live. And the Sam Christensen workshop gives you a leg up over other actors by giving you the tools to identify your own signature performance, which is what makes you stand out. Now, before I wrap up, I do want to give a huge caveat to when you're self-submitting. My last discussion about those character traits still holds, but when you're looking at a list of characters in a breakdown to decide which one to submit for, if any, you do need to pay attention to those physical descriptions so that you can be discerning. Casting directors collectively shake their heads when it comes to actors self-submitting with no regard for the physical description of the character. But take heart, if you submitted for a role in which the age and ethnicity was appropriate, but somehow you're just not fit for that character, trust that casting will identify if there is another role that you're more appropriate for. They'll reach out and have you audition for that role instead. Now, there are so many other nuances to talk about in breakdowns that I just don't have time for. Things like if there's stunts in the breakdown, nudity mentioned, the pay, the billing, etc. So if you have questions about those things, drop a comment below. And if you want to learn more about how to find that signature performance, then check the show notes below for information on the Sam Christensen Image Workshop. We do free previews throughout the year, both in person and virtually. We have an in-person coming up as of the release of this video. So if you live in Atlanta, you can check that out. And if you're not in Atlanta, you can join one of our Zoom previews. Again, all that information is on our website. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on set.